Do you do you record the sessions?
I record the sessions, and what I
Okay.
do,
So if
I
they
do put
needed,
up.
they could get them from you.
Yeah, that we put it up on YouTube, but we secure it.
I
So
ain't getting into that. All I know is
okay,
if
no
they need it,
problem.
they will contact you, right?
Yes, they can contact me if they need a
That,
recording.
that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to get my doors closed here. I want everybody looking at my dirty house, because my house clean right away, but just in case I say that, because you
Yeah.
think that's true. Okay, earphones are back in. Now, all right. Now I have a question for you.
No problem.
I have a headset, right? I have a headset, but the headset that I have, which has the speakers on the microphone, has a dual outlet. So it clicks into the phone or into your thing dual. It's not single like this.
Okay.
You see what
Yeah.
Yeah? So if it was single, it could fit into my jack there, and I get sound and voice. You understand me?
Yeah, I understand you.
Okay. Now, my question to you, as the technological wizard that you are, is do they have adapters that can take a 2 to a 1? Or do you have an older one of them that's a single that you could lend me, give me, so I could use a microphone, because I'm going through the computer mic, and it'll be better if I could go straight to the microphone.
Okay, hold on. Let me mute this. Let me mute this clock. Hold on.
Good night.
Good night, Miss Kemp. You need to put your video on, please.
Okay. I don't have one. I try and think where I can get one.
You ain't worth nothing.
I know.
You
But
worth anything?
I mean, your video and microphone is excellent. I mean, I get.
See, this the microphone only.
I could see you too.
I hear you very well.
Yes, Carla, we expect you to see us, but you need to put on your mic. You need to put on your video.
I
We
might
want to
have
see
on no
you.
clothes.
Put on some clothes then. That would be appropriate. This is a class. Okay. See, I got this microphone, but I can't plug this microphone in anywhere.
No, it's only one spot you can plug the microphone in.
And that's with the headset.
Yeah.
So I need you to work on that.
No problem.
Do some for your country.
Once in a while.
Because the earphones are really, really helpful. But the microphone will be helpful because it just makes it so much easier. Hello, caller. So nice to see you. And you're such a smiling face. Thank you.
I could come out now.
No, you gotta stay in there.
I have to stay in.
How
Oh my
else am I
God.
gonna know who I'm dealing with, caller?
You know my voice.
No, I don't. I've just met you the first time. Wouldn't you like to see who I am? Have you met me before?
Maybe.
Let's see. I don't remember. Okay. Now we're looking for Miss Outen and Miss Smith. All right, Miguel. We're good. I just waiting for these other ladies to show up.
All right.
Miss Ferguson.
I'm here.
Miss Smith, could you please put your video on? Miss Ferguson, could you put your video on? We'd like to see your faces. Miss Outen, the same thing. Oh,
Wait,
wow.
I'm trying.
Hello, Miss Outen. Bahamas. How are you? Have to take your microphone off if you want to say something. Hello, Miss.
Hello, sorry.
That's perfect. Okay, he's gone. making this video.
Okay, I'm back.
Carla, Shanette, Martine for, okay, just can see. One, I can't. Right? It's mandatory that you really put your video on because I do need to see you to know who I'm talking to. And you guys can ask questions or say things now. So long as you don't say nothing negative about me, it'll be fine. That's better, Miss Smith. All right, I'm just waiting to see who else comes on, and then we will go to the shared screen, and I'll pull up the PowerPoint slides, okay? And we'll start the session. Today we might be a little bit short, and I have to send you all stuff, right? I have your email addresses, and I will send you some stuff between now and the end of the, and between now and next Thursday, the course outline and course information and the textbook and so forth, okay? You all could nod your head so you don't have to talk. Say yes. That works, Miss Elton. You all had a hard day. Miss
I
Smith,
did.
you did? Where do you work, Miss Smith?
Fidelity Bank.
Oh, geez. You work in compliance?
No, I don't. I work in the office of the president.
Oh, big job, big job. How about you, Miss Kemp? Where do you work? I know you said, you told me that in the class list, but I'm not looking at that.
I work at Commonwealth Bank.
Okay. And which area?
Hello?
Which area do you work in? Hi, Martine. Just hold on, Miss Kemp. Martine, you need to put your video feed on, please.
Yeah, give me a minute. I'm trying right now.
Okay. And Miss Fernanda, you need to put your video feed on, please.
Bonnie, come in, please.
Good evening.
Hi, Miss
Hello.
Fernanda. You have to leave your video
Okay.
feed on, please. Okay, Miss Kemp. So where do you work? Commonwealth
I
Bank,
work
which
in
area?
loans, in the loan department.
You work as a loan officer, or do you work?
No, I
You
work
work as
as
a
a loan
lending
officer.
Oh boy. Geez, you got a stressful job. Did you make your targets for the rough
I did.
job? Okay. And Miss Fernanda, good night. Miss Delaveau, you need to put your video feed on, please. And Miss Fernanda,
Yes,
where do you work, Miss
I work the
Fernanda?
Commonwealth Bank.
Are you a loan officer as well?
No, I actually work in card services department. I'm an embossing clerk.
Okay. I used to be in cards at Barclays Bank many years ago.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Delaveau, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well,
I live in the Bahamas.
yeah,
Mr. Fountain.
I'm good. I'm holding on as always. Okay. And Miss Ferguson, Martine,
Hi,
hi. Where do you work, Miss
J.S.
Ferguson?
Johnson Insurance.
You sell insurance, or you on the lending side?
No, I don't sell insurance. We don't do that.
You don't do that at J.S. Johnson?
Mm-mm.
So what do you do there?
I'm a customer service rep. I mean, when you say sell insurance, that's like, you know, those people who are out looking for people. We don't do that. They come to us.
Okay. So you're in the office, the branch office.
No,
So I come to you with all my problems.
I'm in I'm in the branch, not the main office, one of the branch.
Okay, great.
But if you get any problems, don't come to me because I have enough at work.
Okay. I will remember that. I will definitely remember that. Okay. All right, we're short a couple of people. Where are the rest of you guys? students come in so late. And I've been here since 5 o'clock, waiting patiently to start. I'm so excited. And I can just see you all are so exciting and itching to go. You got a sense of humor, Ms. Outen, and Indira. Am I pronouncing that correct? Indira?
Interior, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. That's some variation on Indira Gandhi, eh? Indira.
That's where it derives, actually.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
All right, I'll have to tell my wife that. Okay. My wife is from India, so that's why.
Oh,
Okay. Hello, Angelique.
Hello.
You need to put your video on, Angelique. To put
At least I can start putting my video on next week.
you were okay with Ms. Dean in that you can take this course and you're in the correct course. 3-1, what is it? Not 3-1, sorry, it's 301, financial institutions and services.
Yes, well, she actually placed me in the class because I sat out last semester. I was hospitalized, so I was unable to sit any
I'm
of the
sorry to hear
classes.
that.
So
Okay.
yeah, she actually placed me in the class, so I would assume so that I'm in the right class.
Great. Okay. Ms. Smith, how about you?
I've done the fundamentals of financial services. I don't know if that means
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay. But this is the correct course for you in financial services, financial institutions and services.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Kemp?
Hi, yes, I'm in the correct course. I'm here.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So this is one of my courses that I need to complete my diploma.
Great. Excuse me a minute. I got a call I have to take. Just give me 1 second. Hello? Yes. Hey, Mike. Mike, I was going to say I was going to call you back. I am in the middle of one of my lectures. Yeah? Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Or give me a call after 8:30, about 8:30, after 8:30 tonight. Okay. Take care. Right. Bye-bye. Okay. Okay. I don't see anybody else coming in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. Hey, Iris. Yeah. That's what I was That's what I was calling you about, to let you know on Friday gone. Okay. Listen, Iris. Okay. Iris, I am in the middle of one of my lectures. I'm going to have to call you back, okay? Okay. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Must be my lucky day getting all these phone calls. Okay. You like that, Martine?
Yeah. Lucky day.
Okay. So let's just start. tonight we're going to do a little bit of an introduction about myself, and we're going to talk a little bit about the course, okay? And then later on, probably by Saturday or Sunday, I will send you all by email what we call a course outline, and also some information about how the course is going to be graded, okay? So that you can start panicking right away, all right? First, some basic stuff, right? Now, this course is basically from 6 until 9, but I usually go from 6 to 8:30 without a break, and so we can finish at 8:30, okay? It is not a difficult course, okay? And I understand that you're working and you've got to come from home, come from work, come home, or get to your laptops to come to the class, okay? So I am prepared to sort of like be as reasonable as possible, but you really cannot afford to miss the lectures, okay? Better to come in to the lecture 15 minutes late than to miss the entire lecture, okay? If you miss the lecture and you want to get the recording, you can go through Ms. Dean, able to put you on to how you can get a recording of the Zoom meeting, okay? Yeah, so that you can look at that, all right? I use PowerPoint slides, so I'm gonna put the slides up and you will only see that on my shared screen. I won't see you anymore, okay? So I'm gonna be talking this slide. Now what you have to do is you really have to make an effort to participate, okay? Ask questions, okay? Ask a lot of questions. It makes it a lot easier, and don't get put off by some of the things I might say. You ask a question, and if I can, I will answer you as best I can, okay? But
So,
if you
Mr.
don't
Funky,
ask, yes, Carla.
after every class or before the weekend, you would send us a copy of the slides that we discussed that particular class?
I tend not to send slides. I could send you the slides, but I prefer not to. Now you're supposed to say why.
Why?
Because if I send you the slides, you don't do any work. You listen to the lecture, you read the slides, right? And everything is good. You don't make any notes, right? Okay, you don't ask any questions because you're going to get the slides, right? Yeah, I need you to ask questions about what you're being taught, okay? The reason for that is, it's been my experience that if I give the slides out, which is fine, right? All that happens is I get the slides back at me. And nobody can express any sort of an understanding of what it is. Super financial services person or financial institutions persons during this course. I just want you to make sure that you get something out of the course and not just throw it back at me. Yeah? Okay? Let me show you something. This is the book that we use. It's called Financial Markets and Institutions. It's got 23 chapters, 24 chapters. We're not going to do all of them, but we're going to do a lot. If you have this textbook, it doesn't have to be brand new. It doesn't have to be, it could be photocopies, it could be a PDF. If you have this textbook, right, you will have the basis from where all my slides come from. All of my slides come from this, unless it's some sort of a handout. Unless it's some sort of a handout.
Mr. Fountain, can I see that text one more time, please?
I'm going to send you in that email I'm going to send you, it's going to have the name of the text. The name of the text is Financial Markets and Institutions by Jeff Madura. Okay? Yeah?
Is it necessary to purchase that book from the school?
Nope, you can get the book secondhand. You can get it from previous students. You could get it as a PDF. Any way you want to get it is fine by me. But if you don't have it, you don't have a reference to go back to the check. But you don't have to go and get this brand new book for $500 or whatever it costs. You can get it secondhand, do so. If you can get it as a PDF, please do so.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah? Any other questions so far? Carla, you look so disappointed.
No, I mean, I guess I was expecting like our last class, we used Moodle. And they
That was
uploaded,
with Mr. Cargill.
and Mr. Cartwright, and they uploaded the slides there, and it was easier to off, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this COVID and this financial recession, that book for $84, to be honest.
No, Miss Kemp, I agree with you 100%. As I say, you don't have to buy it. Yeah, that's just a different edition. You could use that.
So that's not the one you're using.
That's okay. It'll only be a couple of pages difference or anything like that. But
So
the basic
suppose-
information is there. You can use that. That's fine, Martine.
So that is the 12th edition you're using?
I have the 10th edition. If you have the 12th edition, that's fine.
Hmm. Okay. So how do we get the PDF? The PDF version?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you were planning
could go
to send it to
online.
me.
No, you can go online and load it, I guess. I'm not the most technologically savvy person, I gotta tell you.
Okay.
You're gonna have to turn that radio down in the back, Martine. Yeah, okay. Anybody else? No? Miss Fernanda? Okay, Ms. Smith? Okay, so as I was saying, this course is not difficult, okay? But there is a certain standard of work that you have to reach, okay? And all that really translates into, you have to put in some hours, okay? I'm not saying that you gotta put in 500 hours. I'm not saying that you have to work every day, but you're gonna have to put in some hours, right? Because it becomes difficult as you go along if you don't get the basics at the beginning. That's the first thing. The second thing is, most of you are bankers or work in financial services. So a lot of the fundamental stuff you know already, but it's being presented to you in a much more systematic manner. You understand? Okay. So if I say to you, what are money market instruments? You may know some money market instruments, okay? And what they're used for, we have to link that in there, okay? All right. All right. The basis of this course is about financial markets, how they work, and how banks, which are the dominant financial institutions in the Bahamas and in the world, right, use those financial markets as participants as well as users, okay? And that's pretty much what this course is about, okay? It goes into a little bit of detail on the things that the bank does. And it talks about those aspects of banking that you may or may not have some experience with, okay? My best advice to you is just try to keep up as best you can, either reading the chapters, right? Okay, or just staying engaged during the lecture. Ms. Kemp, you wanted to say something?
No.
No, Ms. Kemp, man, you're doing me bad already.
No, I didn't
Right?
say anything.
Okay, okay. Any other questions, ladies? Sure? Okay. So I'm going to go to a PDF slide, which is, I'm going to share my screen to show you that. okay? And that PDF is going to be a bit about myself first and some other things, okay? So just bear with me one moment, please. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, you see, just like that, I go on and get the wrong one. What did I do? So bear with me. Can you see this screen? Do you see this screen?
No, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, you should see this screen now, right?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's good? Everyone can see it. Okay,
Yes.
so this is just going to tell you a little bit about myself, and you can ask questions. It's not a problem. I'm just going to take you all off the side here so that everybody can see the screen. So I like quotations because I think they sometimes help us to see things from a slightly different perspective. And this is just a quote. It's from Sophia Loren, who was an Italian actress. I don't know if you all would know about her, but hey, she's got a special on Netflix now. I don't know if you watch Netflix. Anyway, it's a mistake to think that once you're done with school, you need never learn anything new. And then the next quote is from a guy named Henny Youngman, who was a comedian, a Jewish comedian. And he said, this man used to go to school with his dog. Then they were separated. His dog graduated, right? And that implies that the guy stopped going to the classes when the dog continued, okay? It may be a little bit off-putting, but I got a mind that works on the sides sometimes, okay? So now I'll just tell you a little about myself. I started off working for the Bank of London in Montreal, which is an offshore bank here that was based here in the Bahamas, that was bought by another bank out of the UK called Bank of London and called Lloyd's Bank. And then from there, I joined Barclays, right? And I worked for Barclays, First Caribbean, Butterfield Bank, and Bank of the Bahamas. I now work with Bahamas Resolve on a contractual basis. And Bahamas Resolve is the government entity, the government-owned company that purchased the bad debts from the Bank of the Bahamas, okay? So I have spent all of my career since I left college or university working in banks. And I've worked in offshore banks, right? As well as domestic banks. I have a Bachelor's of Commerce in Honors Economics from Concordia University. And I have a Master's of Business Administration in Corporate Finance and International Business from McGill University in Montreal, Canada. Okay? Okay. I've asked you about if you're in the correct class. All right, I have your email list. I have a list of all the emails, and I'm thinking about it, Carla. You're pushing me, and I may end up just sending you all the notes after the class, okay? To the people on the mailing list.
That's a good thing.
Keep pushing me, Carla. I might just make me go over the top, okay? All right, if you want to talk to me, right, after class, okay? Now I'm going to try and be online from 5:30 every Tuesday, okay? And after the class at 8:30, I will stay online if anybody wants to have any kind of conversation with me and so forth. I don't mind, I'll stay till 9, 10, doesn't matter. Excuse me, just hold on a second. Hello? Yes, it is. I'm good. Okay. Hey, Andrea, how are you doing? Yes, I called Brendan today. Mhm. I really do. Thank you so much. That is very nice, and we appreciate it. It's trying. Hmm. Yeah. Only brother and younger brother. Yeah, I'm the eldest. Hmm. There's a viewing tomorrow between 10 and 5 at Bethel Brothers Morticians at Bethel's. Between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. tomorrow. On Thursday morning. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay, that would be great if they could pass by, if they can come. You know, it would be good to see them. I will be for some part of the day, but Cecile will be there for most of the day. Yeah, she'll be there. It's 10 a.m. at the Eastern Cemetery, but it's graveside only, you know, because of the pandemic. Yes. Okay. But yes, that would be great. Hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It ain't the best of times, but it's good. Yeah. Hmm. A long time. A long time. Okay. Unfortunately, Andrea, I am in the middle of a lecture, right, that I do for the Bahamas Institute of Financial Services. So I got to kind of cut this one a little short, if you don't mind. Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, all right, bye-bye. Okay, hello, you guys still there? Hello?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi.
let me
President.
apologize. Let me apologize. I am getting these phone calls because my brother passed away on Friday of last week. And so we're
My
having,
condolences.
thank you so much. Thank you very much. And so I'm getting these phone calls, people sending their condolences as well as just wanting to talk and see how I'm doing and so forth. So that's why I'm getting so many phone calls. But the funeral service is on Thursday. So by next Tuesday, I'll be in the swing. Okay? So that's why I'm getting these calls. It's not because I thought I was so popular. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about office hours, all right? When I send out the email, you'll have my return email address, and you can email me, right? And if you need to get in touch with me as urgent or something, you can also go through Ms. Dean or Miguel at the Institute, okay? Now, let me make sure you understand something. I am the lecturer. The administration is done by Ms. Dean. So it's things like, coming out of the course, you're going to be having to go on vacation and you can't make the course and so forth like that. You put those through Ms. Dean, okay? Because I'm going to have the lecture on Tuesdays from 6 until 8:30, okay? If you need to get like I said, if you need to get the video, that's not a problem. If I'm sending you the class notes, I'll just email them to you. We'll go from there, okay? All right. If for some reason I have to if I miss a class, I will try to make up a date for you all so that we can have the class again. But I try to be available for all my classes as best I can, but sometimes, you know, unexpected things happen. Okay. This is your textbooks. I'm using the 10th edition. You can use the 12th edition. That's not a problem, all right? The 10th, 11th, 12th, that's no problem. If you use an early edition, it's going to have a little more changes. So I would try to get the 10th if you're going to get the textbook, okay? The readings in banking and finance is something that comes from the Institute, and that's a pretty good thing to have, but it's not absolutely necessary for this course because it's online, okay? And it's a little difficult to get that. So I work around using those readings, but they're available to you. They focus on things that are unique to the Bahamas, like how our central bank works and so forth, okay? All right. In terms of your tests, in terms of midterms, finals, and so forth, the bulk of everything comes from the textbook and the readings, and there may be some questions that will come that I've assigned to you that you may have to do a little bit of research on through the internet and some readings. Okay. I ask students over the years, what do you expect from me? And one of the first things they tell me is I need to be organized. So I will try to be very organized and systematic. We go through the textbooks starting from chapter 1, right? And if there is a chapter that is going to be skipped, I will let you know, right? Because we don't do every chapter in the book. And within a chapter, there are some sections that we will skip because I don't do a lot of the economic the math-based economics in the class, okay? So the class is much more about reading and responding in essay-type questions as opposed to math. There's no math questions at all, okay? If there is something that you expect from me or something that you think I should be doing, I am happy to listen to that and see if we can accommodate that. And that is directed primarily at my friend Carla. Carla, you got that? Okay. All right. But on a serious note, if there is something that you think that I should be doing that is an expect, I will be happy to look at doing that. Okay? All right. Okay. Now, this is the part that none of the students like, but I think it's absolutely essential. Okay? You need to be up to date on current events. Now, I don't mean that you need to know current events to the nth degree, but you must have some idea of what is going on in the Bahamas in financial services. Okay? Yeah? Right. And I expect you, I don't even expect, I demand that you participate in the class discussions. And I will call on you and expect you to be there and answer, even though I cannot see you in the video feed at the moment because I'm looking at my shared screen, right? I expect you to be there and I expect you to respond and participate, okay? Now let me tell you what I mean when I say expect to be up to date on current events, okay? What is happening with the Bahamian penny?
It's going to be discontinued as of July or June. It was supposed to be discontinued as of December, but I think
Okay.
you can still carry them to a central bank up to a certain time.
That is correct. And that's what I mean. Now, I don't expect you to know the exact date and so forth, but you should know that the Bahamian penny has been discontinued, and it is, as of the 31st of December, no Retail, no establishment will accept a penny from you, and no one will give you back pennies, and they will be rounding, right? The only place that you can send in your pennies and get credit for that is to the central bank, okay? So that's what I mean when I say you need to be up to date. That's a big thing. That's a big thing, okay? Another question I have for you. Is there a credit bureau in the Bahamas?
Yes.
Okay? And who said yes?
Carla, there's 2 points for me already.
Well, okay then. All right, I'll have to keep a mental note, but you know, there is no such thing as a mental file. So sorry, Carla. So Carla, right?
Yeah.
And who manages this credit union, this credit bureau?
I don't know who's managing it now, but I think it may be the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, anybody can help her out?
I thought they were forming the credit union. The credit bureau.
No, they have one already.
It's possible that you might both be right.
I think they were informed. They're getting ready to form it. It hasn't been.
No,
it hasn't been completed yet.
Is it
right?
inland revenue?
It's not inland
It would
revenue.
more than likely fall under inland revenue, but they haven't done it yet, because if it was, we at the banks would have access to seeing what people have
No, they haven't done
outstanding.
it.
I think
They haven't done it, but it's in process. So they're still tweaking
Yes.
it.
So
Okay.
you're both right. It has not been officially launched and implemented, but it is being prepared to be launched. It should have been launched last quarter,
Last year.
and now
Yeah.
last year, but it has not been launched as yet. Okay, and this is what I mean when I say you have to have some idea of what is going on in local financial services section. Okay, I don't expect you to know every piece of detail about it, but you must have some idea that this is there, because it's important and it affects your job, right? You know, my good friend Carla is a lender. The credit bureau is going to have an impact on how she makes loans, the mechanisms by which she makes loans, okay? Yeah, so this is what I mean when I say you need to have some idea of what is going on, okay? And these are the two big changes in financial services here in the Bahamas. And I have one more thing I need to ask you, okay? I saw a sign on the door to the Bank of the Bahamas that says, we do not do any cash transactions for less than $1,500 across the counter. In other words, if you want to do any type of a cash transaction, right, you should do it through the ATM unless it's greater than $1,500. Is that correct, Bank of the Bahamas people?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
that's correct.
Okay. All right. So I have a question on behalf of all the other people in this class. Why are you all doing that?
Please.
Well, that's in an effort to minimize really and truly the amount of people that we have in branch due to the whole COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay. But Bank of Nova Scotia started doing it. CIBC also does it. They started doing it before you all. And I think Royal Bank has done it as well. And I don't think it's because they want it. It helps to minimize people in the branch, but I don't think they're going to go back, not the Canadian banks. What do you all think of that? Ms. Cole?
Wow.
Ms. Ferguson? Ms. Fernanda? Ms. Fernanda, what do you think of that? You do work in a bank. Ms. Fernanda, your mic is off.
It keeps,
That's better.
okay. What was the question? I'm sorry.
What do you think of this change that the commercial banks have put in place, right? About this $1,500 limit. Unless it's less than $1,500, you have to do your transaction, your cash transaction through the ATM. Does Commonwealth Bank have that rule?
No, no, sir.
No, yeah.
I take it, Ms. Cole, you work at Commonwealth Bank?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, what do you all think?
I guess it's something we'll have to deal with, is an adjustment.
What about the
You're
people
not
who don't
doing
have
it.
that kind of money in their accounts?
So, what do you think of the rule? Do you think it's a terrible thing? Do you think it's reasonable? Do you think it's part and parcel of a bigger strategy? What do you think? It's being done.
Mr. Fountain, this Mia here. I can speak from working in Bank of the Bahamas, where we have a lot of pensioners, especially at our location, and a lot of them, they're not really savvy with ATM cards, and also they are pretty much old school. They prefer to come into the bank. For some reason, they don't trust using the machines. So that's one of the, I guess, effects that we have to deal with as it relates to this transition that we sort of implemented. So in a way, it affects them because a lot of them are very old and they wouldn't know how to use the machine even if we taught them.
Okay, sure. I have a question for you, Mia and Indiria, right? How's it going to affect your customer service reps, your CSOs?
I can't remember where this is going.
Do you think you're going to need as many? Do you think Scotia, Royal, First Caribbean, right, are going to need as many CSOs?
They won't.
That'll eliminate the staff complement that we have.
Correct.
Yep. Ms. Fernanda, it may not affect you today, but it may affect some of your friends.
Yeah, I think it will.
Okay. And that means that you got to think hard about what kind of moves you want to make in your career, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So those were 3 examples of what I mean when I say you should at least be up to date on current events, and we may have a discussion about some of it. There's nothing more than that, right? I just want you guys to think about these things because it could have an impact, could potentially, possibly, maybe impact your careers. Yeah? Okay. Okay. Now, here is the course weighting, and this is subject to change. We're going to have a final exam for 40%, quizzes, a midterm assignment on a project. Now, the midterm could be a test, or it could be a take-home test where you'll have to get a week to do it. The project is a literal project where you work on by yourself. It's not a group project, okay? Right? And the final exam. Now, this is subject to change because we're online. I may have to tinker with this to make it a little easier for it to flow, okay? And again, that will be solidified hopefully by next Tuesday, okay? Okay. Now, I'm just gonna go through the course objectives here, right? And again, you don't need to take any of this down, but if you wish, you can, of course, okay? And so we say that you should be able to appraise the importance of the financial systems to the macro economy. In other words, the financial markets that financial institutions operate in and how they impact the macro economy. So you're saying, how does Commonwealth Bank work in the financial system, and how will their work have an impact on the economy of the Bahamas? And the obvious one is, if they're making lots of loans, right, then consumers are able to purchase goods and services, and there could be expansion of the economy, okay? And we could learn that from economics. That's pretty straightforward. But we're going to be doing a little bit more detail as to how that can work, okay? And then the next one is differentiate the various types of financial institutions. Because, of course, we all know that there are more financial institutions than just banks, more types than just banks. Okay? And then we analyze the role of government agencies in the regulation of the financial system and the provision of specialized financial services. So here we're talking about, of course, the central bank, but we also talk a little bit about the Securities Commission and the Insurance Commission, and we talk about things like the Bahamas Development Bank, and we talk about things like the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, because they're specialized financial services provided by the government, okay? And then the next thing we talk about is we discuss the various services offered by financial institutions and their impact on the financial system. Now, when I say services, I'm not talking about just loans, the different kinds of loans that they offer, the different type of accounts that we offer. Even though loans may have as a general category have an impact on the economy, we're interested in some of the different kinds of loans, and who they're made by, and therefore how that financial institution can impact the financial system. Okay. Now, the course outline, right? We look at the financial system and its role in the macroeconomy. How does financial institutions like banks, credit unions, insurance companies, savings and loans, right, impact the macroeconomy? And then we talk a little bit about the history, development, and importance of financial services in ancient times. Now that's a very simple, straightforward, that's not even 5 minutes, in Europe, the UK, and the US, okay? And then the properties and function of money, the advent of modern banking, and the history of financial services sector in the Bahamas. Now that last one, the history of financial services in the Bahamas, that would be in those central bank readings, okay? So I may be able to send that to you all, I may not, but I'll have to just check. But that is a good thing to look at, because it talks about how the central bank started out. Because we never, even though I'm an old guy, the central bank didn't start out as a central bank. It never even was close. Not until the 60s did we start looking at central banks, okay? And what it could do for the Bahamas, okay? And then we talk about money supply and monetary policy. That's basic macroeconomic theory. That is not a big portion of this course, because you should do that in another course. But we'll just go over some of it, and you should have some idea of how the money supply policy works. And then we do a bit of an overview of money and capital markets, right? We don't spend a lot of time there, okay? But you should know how it functions, okay? Nothing more than that, okay? In particular, how financial institutions use the money and capital markets, okay? And then we talk about government-owned financial institutions, okay? The next bit is regulation and supervision of the financial services sector, the role of the central bank and other regulatory bodies, okay? Now here we're gonna mix in the Central Bank of the Bahamas, as well as the Federal Reserve System in the United States and the Securities Commission in the Bahamas, as well as in the United States. And then we talk about the special service financial institutions, past, present, and future, and so forth. Now, if you notice that this is very broad, and depending on how your own experience is, we'll spend a little more time on some things and less time on other things because, again, these are broad categories, and you may know this stuff already. As I said, what happened is we're just presenting it in a much more fundamental and logical manner.
Will you be sending this to us as well once you're done, or no?
This particular set of slides here,
Yeah, or we don't need this.
you don't really need this per se.
Okay.
But if you would like to know that I have an MBA, I might be able to send it to you.
Okay. Would you be up tonight? You're gonna tell us the chapters we'll be using, or not tonight from the book?
Chapter 1.
I mean, just chapter 1 we'll be using from the whole book, or?
No. I can't tell you which chapters we're going to be using.
Okay, because I know you did.
You're saying you would like to know the chapters ahead of time. In other words, chapters 1, 2, 3, 5, but we're not doing 6 or 7. That's what you mean?
Yeah. So let's say if one person have the book, then maybe we could copy for other persons, let other persons copy, you know,
sounds good
instead
to
of
me.
everyone spending all of that on a book.
I don't have a problem with that at all, Martine. I got no problems. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right? I have no problems with that at all. Okay?
Okay.
I'm not here to break the bank. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. You might have to remind me of that. I think we do that. I do that, but you might have to remind me of it. Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
And then we talk about the management of financial institutions, especially commercial banks. Now we're going to spend a lot of time on this section, management of financial institutions, especially commercial banks, because they are the dominant player in the financial services industry. Okay, and we're going to put a lot of this into the context of the Bahamas. We'll talk about it in a general sense, but we'll put it into the context of the Bahamas. So this is a big section, and you need to put some time and effort into this. Okay, and then we talk about these other financial institutions as well, right, and how they would fit in, but it's not as in-depth as with commercial banks. Okay. And these are some more financial institutions that we talk about. And then the last series is the banking society, not for-profit activities of the financial sector in the Bahamas and their effect on society. Now, this one we may change a little bit because I tend to ask a question, well, where do you think banking is going to be in 3 more years, especially in the Bahamas? And you all have phones, and you all have smartphones, and you all see where phones are being used to do an awful lot of things. And it's also being used to do a lot of banking. So it makes you wonder, are we going to have branches? Yeah. So that's the type of thing that we cover in here, as well as not-for-profit activities, such as charity work that banks do or try to do. Okay. All right, and we talk a little bit about careers in the financial services sector, okay? Not too much, all right? And just for your information now, you know, most of you all are in banks, and one is in insurance, right? And if you look at this slide, right? If you're in lending, you're in credit, right? And because banks make the majority of their funds from lending money, there's always a role for lenders, right? And if there's a role for lenders, there's also a role for someone to collect delinquent loans or for the recovery people. Administration, if you work in administration, you must have seen over the past few years that the number of bodies in administration is shrinking, okay? Right? And that those bodies are shifting to marketing, right? Because banks have to try and sell their services nowadays. People take it as a commodity. So how do you get them to come into your bank and not the other one? Investment banking banking. We don't do very much of that here. And it's usually not done in the banks. It's done by people like Colina and the pension fund managers and so forth. Market dealers, we have a very, very small and capital market here. So we don't have a lot of market dealers, right? And the markets here are very, very shallow. So you don't see too many careers in market dealers, although in a couple of years you may see a bit more. Audit and compliance are the two big ones, especially compliance. There's an awful lot of people that are in compliance on the offshore as well as the domestic side. And that looks like it's going to continue to be like that, okay? But note again, these are just some of them, but that administration that used to have the bulk of the people, no, not so much anymore. And all of that is because of technology in the financial services industry, okay? It is a huge game changer. It hasn't fully hit the Bahamas yet, but it's coming, right? And if you think about it, that $1,500 rule, right, can come about because of technology. And the Canadian banks can enforce that today, right, whether Commonwealth and Bank of the Bahamas continue along that path or not. They can tell you, listen, I just won't deal with you if you got to come in here like this. And people will say, well, okay, I'll close my account. So they close their account. Very little impact on the three Canadian banks, right? Very, very little impact, okay? Because the people who will be banking with them in the next 10 years are going to be using the technology, and that's what they want. You don't want to come into the bank, okay? Okay. And then we talk about other issues of managing the financial services industry. And one of the biggest issues affecting the financial services industry is the level of competition from non-banks. We don't see it here in the Bahamas, but it's in the developed financial markets, Canada, the United States, Europe, and so forth. What we see here is, how many of y'all on any given day when we were in the lockdown and the banks were only open for like half days or something like that, how many people saw the lines that were outside Western Union or Cash and Go, the money transfer places? Anybody?
Yeah, those lines
Yeah.
were long.
Ridiculous. Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because you don't want so many persons in the bank. You don't want so many persons in the bank at the same time, especially with COVID.
Okay, but why would they go to the money transfer houses?
I think they were sending money off in different places and collecting monies that family members may have been sending from abroad for them.
Okay, that's the service they provide. But why was there so many lines?
Island Lock at their thing in there to deposit money. That was the biggest one at Cash and Go.
I think it was
Okay.
convenience as well. They were more convenient, some of them, than banks.
Absolutely. Bang on, Miss Smith. They were more convenient and they made themselves more convenient. That was a big reason. Okay?
Yeah.
That was a big reason. And most of the people who were there, I saw all these Filipinos. I saw people who looked like they were from other parts of the Caribbean and so forth. Aren't they the people that are sending money? And aren't those people that don't necessarily have bank accounts? And these are people that operate with a lot of cash, right? When I say not cash in terms of hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but like they don't do things using plastic or wire transfers or checks. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that, do any of you guys think that those money transfer houses are having an impact on the bank, the commercial banks business in terms of what services they do provide? Hello?
Repeat the
Hello?
question. Repeat the question.
So I'm back on. I can see all of y'all again. Of course, Miss Cole and Angelique is still not on. Okay. My question is, right? Do you think those transfer houses, right, money transfer houses, will have or have had an impact on the commercial banks? Hello, Angelique. Good to see you.
I think they sure did, because even with the money transferring and all that, I think their fees are less, and they make it probably a whole bit more easier for persons to do so.
And they're convenient.
Yeah.
And they take cash.
Uh-huh.
And
And
they
you
do
don't have to
small
pay for no,
transactions.
yeah, and you don't have to pay for no money order and all them other stuff. Pay a little fee and that's it.
And do you need to walk in with all of them compliance documents like
No.
source of funds or anything?
Just a government ID and the address where you're sending it and the person telephone contact.
And if you're collecting it, same thing, right?
Yeah, and if you're in the system, you just carry an ID and that's it.
Okay. So this is what happened in the Bahamas during the COVID pandemic when we were in lockdown, and you saw 50, 60 people outside these institutions. I didn't see that many people outside the banks. Okay, all right. So again, what do you think will be the future of banking? These are just things to think about because they could have an impact on your careers.
Yeah, I think eventually they'll start to lay off and make the banks smaller to operate with.
Well, hasn't Royal and Scotia and First Caribbean done that already? First Caribbean used to have a branch on Bay Street and Parliament Street. It's closed, right?
Yes.
I was about to say, I think RBC started it off with cutting back on the tellers and all that to do, yeah.
They did.
I think it was something last year or the year before.
They did. Yeah. So my point here is just to say to you, look, current events and current things that you see and you observe will have an impact on the financial institutions that we know in the Bahamas. We are not immune. And the biggest driver of that is technology, right? And it's going to impact you. It ain't gonna impact me because I retired and I old now. I old and I retired. But it will impact you. Okay? All right? Okay. So something to bear in mind. Okay. All right. We have, I'm just look at chapter 1 now, so just bear with me 1 minute. I'm going to pull up another screen for a second. So just hold on.
Barbara, you want to? You can't finish one? And just had your hair planted, boy. You take it out.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're going to be looking a little bit of the role. This is chapter 1 in the text, and it is the role of financial markets. Now, I know some of you may not have the textbook at the moment, but what we talk about in this chapter is, right, we describe the type of financial markets that facilitate the flow of funds. So before we start doing anything like that, the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what is a financial market, or what is a market? So I ask you all, what is a market? I'll take volunteers. Okay, Miss Delavo, I'm asking you. What is a market?
Market is basically where people gather to sell or purchase goods or a product or something. Sweet. No.
Okay, so what's a financial market? We're going to get Miss Smith to help you with this one. Miss Smith, what's a financial market? Yeah, you.
Thank you, Miss.
You're so Grammy.
A financial.
Time. Let me think of something and come right back to me. Indira, help me out here.
One second. Financial market. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, person. Go ahead.
Which financial assets, such as securities.
Somebody's
bonds
looking at
and
the book.
stocks can be sold. No.
Someone is looking at the book, Miss
No.
Ferguson.
Let me take a guess.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Okay, so
Financial market is a market in which people trade financial securities.
Online.
online, okay. Okay,
No transaction.
let's go back to basics. A market is where people gather to buy and sell a specific good or product. Okay? It can be a good, a product, or a service, a good or a service, right? A financial market is where we sell or buy financial assets, such as stocks or bonds or cash money, right? Yeah? So it's not just stocks, bonds, and other things. That's just a way to package cash. Yeah? So a financial market is a place where we gather. But with our technology, we don't have to be in the same place at the same time. We can be dispersed, right? Because we can use the technology to interact with buyers and sellers, right? Once they're selling the same product. So the best example is a stock market, right? Where you buy and sell stocks. But people from Germany, as well as from Canada, as well as from the Bahamas can participate, or Australia can participate in that, you see? So that's a financial market. Now my question is simple and straightforward. Do we have financial markets in the Bahamas? Miss Oughton, your time. Be a star.
Yes.
Great. Give me an example of one.
Commonwealth Bank.
No,
Commonwealth Bank is a financial market? Who said that? Who said that? Let me look at them in the eye. Who called Commonwealth Bank a financial market? Was that you, Ms. Kim?
No, that's Colette.
No, sir. I said BizAct, where you do, where you buy like stocks for, what do people name?
Commonwealth Bank.
Commonwealth Bank stocks.
That's called bonds.
Right. No, BizAct is our stock market, right?
It is a stock. It is a stock market. Yes.
Right.
It is where you can buy and sell some stocks as well as preferred shares as well as bonds. Okay.
Carlo.
Huh?
All right.
That's for Carlo.
Okay. So we have financial markets in the Bahamas. Yeah. Okay. Who are some of the participants in a financial market in the Bahamas? Other than the BizAct. We're not talking about BizAct now.
The insurance
was-
companies,
Absolutely.
you see that
Cable
the credit
Bahamas,
unions, the credit unions,
Credit
Securities
unions,
Commission.
the airport, Airport
the
Authority,
airport,
the Airport
they
Authority.
participate. How does the airport authority participate in a financial market, Ms. Ferguson?
I know they sell stocks, they sell bonds.
They sell stocks and
Securities
bonds.
Commission.
Securities Commission. Do you know what the Securities Commission does by any chance?
They,
They deal with like
They're regulated.
Right, they monitor and regulate,
they
right?
want to, yeah.
They're regulators, so
They
they
regulate.
they don't really participate in the
Mm-mm.
market. Mia, you looking real like you got something you have to say, Mia. Come on.
No, she said what I was going to say.
Okay.
I
That's
mean,
it.
you said you answered her question, sorry, about the
Okay.
Securities Commission.
Okay. All right. Now, we accept that there are financial markets in the Bahamas, right? Everybody got that. We accept the different types of participants, right? Okay. So in the macro economy, what is the role of financial markets? What do they do? Okay. Fundamentally, go ahead, Ms. Ferguson.
you said the role of the financial market, right? They transfer funds from
Well,
people.
it's nice
who
to have the book right there. Hey,
No, this was
You don't
one of
have the
my
book?
questions. Yeah, but this was in one of my questions what I had in one of my other class.
hey,
They
great.
they transfer funds from those who have extra funds to those who need it, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Very good answer. That's exactly right. It's just that simple,
Okay.
right? See, I'm old, I'm retired, so I got some money extra, right? I want, right, to be able to sell some of that to make a profit, okay? So if I put it into a financial institution called a bank, they will pay me some interest, right, and find someone to take the money from them so they could get some interest. Pretty fundamental, right? Well, all you've done is you've transferred money from the person who has it to the person who doesn't have it but want it. But we're doing it in a systematic way. I ain't take it out of my pocket and give it to the boy on the corner who asked me for $5, right? Because he needs the money too, right? And I have the money, but I'm not giving him $5 like that. I am going through a market to do that, okay? So the fundamental thing that a market does, a financial market does, it takes people who are what we call net surplus units, right? And they allow them to send funds to a what we call a deficit unit. Okay? Now, this is fundamental stuff. If you understand this, and you would have gotten it in some of your other courses, and you might have gotten it presented to you in different ways, but if you understand this, you understand how financial markets work. I don't know who the hell this is. Hold on a second. Hello? Hello? I'm good. Yes, who am I speaking with? Hey, Val.
Let's listen to some business.
Yes, it is. Okay. Oh, thank you for calling, Val, but I am in the middle of a lecture at the moment. So I can, but I'm so happy you did call. You know, you doing okay? Okay. All right. All right. Take care. Thanks for calling. All right. Bye-bye. So what were we talking about? Okay. Fundamentally,
Surplus and deficit.
right. Fundamentally, right, financial markets link surplus units with deficit units. Okay? And the reason this is so important is because it is the basis of all financial transactions. Stocks, bonds, right? Preferred shares, okay? Loans, yeah? Okay? Equity, everything. Everything, okay? All right? And it is necessary in an economy for that to take place such that the economy can expand, yeah? Without that fundamental transfer taking place, right, you are going to have a major problem, okay? Now, how do we know this? We know this because, right, in earlier economies and in earlier of our history, what did we have? We used to have barter, right? We used to have barter. You know, I give you a bunch of pineapples and you give me a couple of fish. I give you some fish and you give me a screwdriver or whatever it is that I need. Yeah? That's very difficult for the economy to expand because it's limited in size and it's limited into what else it can take into place, take into effect. You understand? Okay? So if any of you all have relatives that are in the family islands, you know, there was a time when there was very little cash out there. Okay? Very little cash. So people did barter all the time. Okay? But when money started to circulate a little more into the family islands in the Bahamas, right? Now it was able for this fundamental exchange to take place. Okay? And the means that we do that is using financial markets, but the financial markets have to use cash. It's cash in various forms, but it is cash. Okay? It's money. Okay? And so for it to work, we can't use different types of money like cowrie shells and pieces of sticks or something like that. We have to use something that meets all the characteristics of money. You know? Anybody know what some of the characteristics of money is? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I better go home now because ain't no one gonna remember that from the old courses.
At least bank is in here.
Well, we can find out.
Is EC convertible?
It's convertible. Hey, well, that's one. All right, y'all want me to pick somebody?
What the question was?
The
What is some?
characteristics of money.
Right.
Okay.
It's convertible. What's another thing? Carla, you know.
Carla,
Y'all
you're
ain't
the star.
getting it? They ain't getting it?
Not yet.
Oh gosh, let me help them out a little bit.
One of the characteristics is durability, right?
That's another one, yeah.
You're reading.
Limited supply.
Yeah. That's the big one.
Acceptability.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very, very, very important. What's the big one?
Portability. Uniformity.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Uniformity, that's true. All of that is true. What's the big one?
Acceptability.
It's transportable.
That's true. Acceptability is important. What's
What
the
about
biggest one?
transport?
That's true too.
Did someone
What's
say
the big one?
divisibility?
What was that?
Visibility.
Visibility, yeah, that's true.
Okay, I have the answer.
Okay, let's go, Ms. Smith.
Make us all happy.
That's what monies do? I love it. I love it.
What she say? What she say?
Yeah, that's true. It unlocks success.
Oh, it unlocks success. I like that even more.
I like
So
that
get
one.
me some unlocking of success. I could use it, okay?
But it's convenient because you could carry it around everywhere you go. That's the word. That's the
You're
word.
still missing the big
Affordability.
one. It's a store of value.
Value.
Oh, yeah. That's not all value the same.
So you could carry it around. If it ain't valuable and can't store the value, what good it doing you?
That's true.
For real.
Isn't because it's a store of value, you can put it in your savings account,
Yes.
right? And you can put it in the rock hole and come back for it.
Mhm.
And it's still worth $100, right? That's the big one. Okay, so we know fundamentally what these financial markets will do. They facilitate this exchange between the deficit units and, the surplus units and the deficit units, okay? Right? Now, by definition, a surplus unit is an individual or an entity in the economy that has what? More than they are spending.
Need.
Not need, more than they're spending. I always need more money, right? So if I have $100, or if I had $1 million, right, and I only spend 500,000, I have a surplus,
Gotcha.
correct? Yeah. So fundamentally, right, anybody who participates in the economy, right, that meets that kind of criteria can be a surplus unit. And a surplus unit doesn't have to be fixed. In other words, you're not always a surplus unit because you can also be a deficit unit at different times. Yeah. So, excuse me. When you're a student, use a deficit unit because you need, you're spending money like you can't believe and you have to go borrow it. Okay. When you finish school and you're making money as a lawyer, a doctor, or the bank manager, you're a surplus unit. Okay. When you go into the bank and borrow money, you're a deficit unit. Yeah? So it isn't fixed that you are one or the other. But fundamentally, and this is all I'm trying to get across to you guys, fundamentally, right? Financial markets facilitate this exchange between the deficit units and the surplus units. And surplus units, by definition, are individuals, peoples, or entities who are in the economy that have more, right, cash or more income, right, than they spend. Deficit units are just the opposite. There are entities that spend more than they have. Okay? Now, notice, this isn't about good or bad. There's no value judgment, right? It's just a way of looking at the economic system. Okay? So, everybody got it? I see you saying yes. Okay, Indira. Right? Tell me what I just said. Parrot that back to me.
You basically said that a surplus unit is someone that has more than they are spending, and a deficit would be the person that is spending more than they have, and it doesn't have to be fixed.
Okay. Right. The person doesn't have to be fixed. Absolutely. Okay?
You heard me? Sorry. Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah? Anybody else? Okay. Right. And to just expand on that a little bit, we're using cash because of the characteristics of money, cash money. Okay? Especially that store of value part. Okay. So now, we've gotten to the point where we know there's this market, we know who the participants in this market are, but they're like this, way out here. Who are the people that are in between this deficit unit and the surplus unit that facilitate this movement?
The banks.
Banks. That's it? Nobody else?
No, the stock.
Deficit?
The stockholders. I mean, the stock.
Amen.
The people in there.
The other people, Ms. Cole.
The stock
deficit
market.
would be like college students because they borrow from schools to support their education. So that would be
Yeah.
considered a deficit.
All of that is true. But what is in between this deficit unit and this surplus unit? Here's my surplus unit, here's my deficit unit. Who's in between? Who helps to make this work?
Middle class.
No, the banks.
Middle
Because
class.
no, it
I
gotta
like
be
that.
the
It's
middle
gotta
class.
be the banks. All I said is it only the banks. Okay? What's this class called? What's the title of this class?
Working people, working class.
Corporate.
Financial
Market
institutions.
institution.
Financial institutions stand between the deficit unit and the surplus unit. One type of financial institution, Ms. Cole, is a bank.
The bank.
Right. So you're right. But I'm looking in terms of fundamentals, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right. Now, all right. The next part that you got to bear in mind and understand is that, right, in a modern economy, right, that transaction between that deficit and that surplus unit, right, and all the financial intermediaries, financial institutions in between, okay, they operate in particular markets. You understand? Okay. Now, we've been talking about the fundamentals right down at the bottom, right down at the bottom. Now we're putting another layer on top because we've got these institutions. And then these institutions, right, deal in particular products and services, right? And they deal in particular markets. And they're basically two types of markets, right? A primary market and a secondary market. Okay? Now you should have seen this before in some of your other classes, right? So, Carla, you look like you would know the answer to this. What's a primary market?
A primary market would be where your financial or where your finances would initially start from.
Exactly. This is where you raise money, like stocks and bonds, right? And the money goes to the person who's borrowing it. Okay? What's a secondary market? Oh, geez. Miss Smith, I pick on you for a couple of minutes.
Mr. Fountain.
You telling me this again? Oh, Mr. Fountain.
It's my first time back in a few years, so everything.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask Miss Fernanda to help you because she's trying to be quiet here, but we ain't gonna let her get away with that.
Save me, Miss Fernanda.
A secondary market would be where basically securities, I guess, where they buy securities, where you would go to purchase.
Right. The secondary market is where they trade existing securities. A primary market is where you issue new securities. Okay? So we see that differential. A primary market is where you issue new securities, and a secondary market is where you trade securities that have been issued before. So, Ms. Fernanda, is Bahamas International Stock Exchange that lists Commonwealth Bank and Abaco Markets, AMS, and Focal, is that a primary or secondary market? Primary or secondary market?
Secondary.
Is it One Love or Peace? It's secondary?
Second.
Yes.
Ms. Fernanda, secondary? Absolutely correct. Right? This is, what is with these people? Give me a second. Hello? Hello? Hey, Bob. Bob, I am in the middle of a lecture. Could you give me a call about 9 o'clock? Okay, thanks. Okay, bye-bye. Everybody good with that so far? I got rid of that one quick. Okay, so we know that there is a primary market and we know there's a secondary market. and you know the difference between the two of them, but you must know the definition code, okay? So in your text, whenever you get it, or you could Google it or look it up in Investopedia or whatever, you must know the definition of a primary market and a secondary market. And you should have an example that you could come to mind very quickly of both, right? Okay. Now, the key thing here is, right? We are trying to get to the point where we can discuss the markets in a very logical and organized manner, okay? So we started with the fundamentals. We talked about what a market is. We talked about the purpose of how to get it from the deficit units to the surplus unit and vice versa. We talk about the institutions who are going to impact, right, and facilitate that exchange, right, and so forth, yeah? And we talk about the fact that it's all about money. Now that's the fundamentals. Going forward, as we go through the chapters in the book, right, we are going to break all of that down piece by piece and talk about individual things. So we talk about the types of securities that can be traded, on the primary market. We talk about how the secondary market impacts our economy. We talk about the participants who participate in the secondary market, who participate in the primary market. We talk about the role of the government, okay, and so forth. So, do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yes.
Okay. So, if you have a reasonable understanding of that, okay, you are talking about how we're going to be talking about financial institutions within that context. So, one of the first things you need to pick up is, right, what we call sources and uses of funds, okay? Where does that financial institution get its sources of funds, and where does it use those funds? So sources and uses of funds. Now, if you think in terms of a bank, that's straightforward because we're all bankers. We understand that, right? Okay. The source of funds for a bank is its depositors, and the use of funds for a bank is its loans. Everybody good? Yeah. Straightforward. Okay. Now, every time you look at a financial institution, that's what you're going to do. That is what we're going to do. We're going to be talking about their source of funds and their use of funds. But we're not just going to make it in one statement. We're going to be going in detail as to where those sources of funds are, in detail as to where they use those funds, and in detail as to where those funds fit in the sources and uses from within the economy. Okay? All right? Everybody good so far?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. All right. Because we have a market and because we have a financial market, we have regulators because people is thief. There's thief. Okay. The first rule of finance is OPM, other people's money. OPM, other people's money. Okay? Why? Because you go from surplus unit to deficit unit. That's the transfer, right? So the deficit unit getting money from somebody else, other people's money. Yeah? Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, if they get using other people's money and they don't do what they say they're going to do, how I can get my money back if I was the surplus unit? Okay? Well, if it's just me one, they could fight and they could tell me all kinds of things. But if it has gone through a financial intermediary, such as a financial institution called a bank, right? Mm-hmm. How did we know that the bank, right, is treating everybody reasonably fairly, the depositors as well as the borrowers, right? Yeah. So we have a regulator, because banks, you know, some of them people that we know in banks, they ain't too straight. Yeah. And if we don't know them, right, we know that our history has shown that people is thief and they just ain't be straight. And since there's be like that, we got to sit down and ask ourselves, well, what can we do about it? So in modern society, we have people or institutions that act as regulators to regulate the participants in markets. In our case, in financial markets. And we know that some of those participants are banks. So we have someone to regulate the banks, right? So they don't thief the people deposit, and they don't charge the borrowers all sorts of crazy fees and so forth. And also to make sure that they don't run off with the depositors' money, right? The lender don't care if the bank full, because he's saying, well, I ain't got to pay nobody back. But if you got your $100,000 or your $10,000 in a savings account, and one of the banks in the Bahamas fails, what happens? You lose your money. That's where the regulators come in, okay? So, in our modern economy, right, we have regulatory authorities.
Take your time.
Thank you, Carla. You got me. Regulatory authorities, right, to monitor, right, and supervise the actions of the various participants in these financial markets. Okay? And the regulatory authorities, right, are a form or an arm of the government of the country or the geographical area that they work in, or the participants work in. So, in simplistic terms, that's one of the functions of the Central Bank of the Bahamas, to act as a regulator over the financial services, right, industry in the Bahamas, in particular, banks, right? But there are other financial institutions, and they have their own regulators. Okay? Yeah? Everybody good so far? Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
With all of this pandemic that's going on, why you think central banks don't reduce the per diem to assist persons with their mortgages instead of them losing their homes?
So let's start off with that. That's a big question. So let's break that question down. You want the central bank to reduce the per diem. What's the per diem?
The per diem is not the per diem. I'm thinking about the prime rate.
Okay. Who sets the prime rate?
Central Bank.
Who said that? I just want to look at you. Let's call that. Okay. Hey, Colette. Okay. Anybody else? Who sets the prime rate? Martine, you would agree with Colette?
I think central bank.
Okay.
Yes.
You agree with her, Carla?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Don't think, say yes.
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 Okay, Mia?
Yes, sir, the Central Bank.
Miss Delaveau?
Yes.
Miss Fernanda?
I agree, Central Bank.
Bop. Niet.
I did agree.
Well, who said it?
When you lend money, Carla, right? What prime rate do you use?
We don't use a prime rate. We use an interest rate, but we use 3 point.
Hold on. You use a rate. What do you call it? What
Prime
do you
is
call the rate?
What's it? 3.25.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you lend money at 3.25?
They lend the money at 80% interest. cover her bike is no joke.
No, I said for the mortgages. For the mortgages, it's prime. It is prime plus whatever.
So funny.
I still trying to figure out what rate does Commonwealth charge if I want a car loan, right? What
Okay.
rate does Commonwealth charge?
It could be 4% up to all the way to 8%.
20%.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's
we
assume
have
it's
that.
So 3.99 starting with the luxury cars, and then
okay.
you could go to 8%.
Okay, so let's start with 4%.
Right.
What do you base that 4% on?
Oh,
We base the 4% on whether the person is qualified based on where they work, how much down payment they're gonna make.
Stop. So you base it on the individual borrower,
Right.
Okay. What is the prime rate?
3.25.
The prime rate is 3.25. So you're not
Yeah.
charging the prime rate. You're charging 4%.
Right.
correct.
So when you tell the customer your rate is 4%, how do you express that rate?
I say your rate is 4%, and that's based on the fact that you.
No. How do you express the rate? Do you say your rate is 4%, which is prime plus, or
No.
Commonwealth Bank? You just tell them 4%.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I understand. Now, okay. Since you're telling them it's 4%, what happens when it's 8%? You tell them it's just 8%?
Yes.
Okay.
Just
So
get
what
them
is
to pay for the sign.
So what does the prime rate have to do with Commonwealth Bank?
The prime rate.
You set the rate. You set the rate to the customer, right? 4% or 8%, depending on the customer.
Right.
That's the leverage that the central bank gives us. We cannot go less than what they set.
Correct.
Is that so?
Yeah.
So the central bank tells the commercial banks in the Bahamas, you can't lend people money for less than $3.25.
That's what I'm assuming.
That's
Because
what you're
all the
assuming,
banks,
but is
all
that
the
correct?
banks are governed by central bank.
That's why they want to get flowers.
So this is what I'm going to ask you all to do for me, right? Next week, Tuesday, we have another class. I can write it down. I want all of y'all go back into your banks, right? And you ask whoever you want to just be sure who sets the prime rate. Okay? Just go ask. Ask, which branch are you at, Carla?
And Charles.
Okay, so ask Franklin Thomas who sets the prime rate.
I can ask
Credit
him
risk.
now.
You ask him now?
Yes.
Well, you and him is good friends, eh?
How you
Okay.
know?
Who sets the what?
The prime rate. All
Primary?
of y'all said the prime rate.
Anxiety is getting the best of me now. Okay, so it's quite obvious that you disagree with us, right?
I told you all that, yes, I disagree.
So who sets the prime rate? If it's not a central bank, then who sets it for us?
You do. Each individual bank sets their own prime rate.
Yeah, how?
Easy. They say prime rate is 3.25. Competition.
Okay, so
The bank?
what you're saying is the prime rate is influenced, is basically influenced by our policies and procedures of each bank then?
Yeah, you said it.
Oh. Huh?
You said it. You say what the prime rate is.
I think it's some guidelines with central bank though.
Maybe, but they don't tell you that the prime rate is going to be 3.25 next week or tomorrow or today. But we're going to find out. All of y'all who work in banks, you could ask.
Okay.
Ask somebody who should know. Them big shots who get paid all that money.
Oh.
They know they sell.
They just know they getting paid.
I telling you.
So they had a breaking news starting January 26th. Everybody entering the U.S. must have a negative COVID-19 test.
I got another call. That's breaking news.
The next
Okay,
call come through, you go
ladies.
pay us.
Yeah. Okay, ladies. Now, all right, we are going to stop here. Okay?
You know, man, in this class.
I just saying the same thing, Mr. Fountain.
I was looking at that too, you know.
Hello.
Where them old Dumbos is on the corner.
Oh my gosh.
shooting dice,
This is Julian Fountain.
I so done with y'all.
On
Shooting
the
dice.
corner shooting dice, gambling. Oh, what this man named Julian Francis?
Fountain.
Huh?
Fountain.
Oh,
Julian Fountain.
just want to say, I remember Julian Francis was some big thing in the bank.
Central Bank, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He worked for Resolve. He don't work for Central Bank.
No, he retired already.
He retired from Central Bank many years
There's
ago.
a
He works for
hot
Bahamas
call
Resolve now.
Yeah, this call got mute. This one got
Yeah, we
mute.
can't
Yeah.
pay everybody $5.
Yeah.
On the board.
Welcome
All
back.
having a good time, aren't you?
Welcome
You're all having a great time.
phone call.
Yeah.
Ladies, I ain't have no more phone, okay?
When you thought you muted, you didn't mute it. We could have heard.
Oh, well, all right. Don't worry about that. I ain't got nothing to hide. My younger brother, who's 54, passed away. He had a brain tumor that was cancerous. And
Oh, wow.
was diagnosed about 2 years ago. So he was not doing well, and he's an attorney.
Oh, my
Cash Fountain,
condolences.
and so forth. So,
Wow.
you know, we were expecting
Yeah.
it. We were very happy that he made it past Christmas into New Year's, but,
Yeah,
you know, that's how it is. I
yeah.
can say all of these things now because I didn't finish crying and betting up.
I just gonna say you look good for someone who is fine.
Well, as soon as y'all go, I can go cry again, okay?
Oh, Lord.
We can keep you on till we ready to sleep then.
Don't do that. No, okay. All right. So let us continue. So I'm going to stop here. All right. Okay. Because at this point, we have covered, there are more things we could cover, but we have covered the fundamentals. And I want you all to just be aware of these things. Okay. Because as we do more and more, we're going to keep coming back to these fundamental things. I may not say it in exactly the same way, but you keep coming back to these things. That is, right, surplus units and deficit units. The intermediary, the financial intermediaries, the financial institutions, okay? The regulators, okay, that are in there, that are regulating these transactions, okay? And the sources and uses of funds of these financial institutions, okay? And if you think about it like that, it doesn't matter what the financial institution says. It doesn't matter whether they are just a wire transfer house, right? Or an insurance company, or just a strictly internet-based bank and so forth. If you apply that basic knowledge to that, you will have the basis in which to understand what they do and how they impact the economy. Okay? All right? Because I could come up with 15 different kinds of loans, right? 15 different kinds of loan. But a loan is a loan is a loan, right? Yeah? There's got to be a lender and there's got to be a borrower. And it got to get paid back, hey?
Yeah.
If not, it ain't a loan. Yeah? Okay? Whether I do it through the internet, whether I do it on the street with cash, whether I do it with a lawyer, whether I do it with just pieces of paper moving, it's still the same thing. okay? And the institution or the company that is doing it, right? If you ask the question, what is their source of funds? What are their uses of funds, right? You're going to be able to figure out what they do, how they work, and how they work within the economy. Okay?
Next one, mommy.
Okay, so I have one last question for all of y'all. You know them people who were sending them, who remember during the lockdown, all them people was outside them wire transfer houses? Okay? Apply the question. What is their source of funds and what is their use of funds?
They ain't have no source of funds. They get it from Island Lock.
You still stuck on Island Lock?
That's where they get it from.
So their source of funds is Island Luck, right?
Okay.
Based on what you're saying, Carla. Okay. So if their source of funds is Island Luck, do they act as a bank or do they take a deposit from Island Luck?
Yes, and Island Lock also gives them receipt when they transfer their money. So
now this is not an individual. This is the companies that transfer.
Company and entity.
Right.
Okay. Now, Carla, that don't seem right to me.
No?
Not if we use the
They're not
method.
regulated, right?
No, but they have.
Hold on. Whoa.
they have a
Everybody hold
secondary-
on. Let us apply this question. What is the source of funds and what is the use of funds for the companies that those people were standing outside that was doing money transfers? Now, Carla said their source of funds was Island Luck. Okay? Right? I'm saying, okay, did they put deposits in the transfer company? Right. What did they do? Now, maybe we
They
get
gambled.
No, they have accounts where they transfer to
No,
another.
but you
accounts.
those
Also-
you mean like Western Union, right, Mr. Fountain?
That's a transfer company. So, who are the people? Those. What was the name of some of the companies where all those long lines were?
And cash.
Sun Cash. Okay.
Oh,
Let's talk
yeah.
about Sun Cash. How does Sun Cash get its money? What is its source of funds?
The people.
Exactly. You don't have no deposits there, do you?
No,
Okay. So they don't take in deposits.
no.
So when you walk in, you give them the cash and they send the cash where you want it to go. Correct?
Yeah.
And if you want to receive the money, someone sent their money through Sun Cash to you.
Correct.
Okay. So what is their source and use of funds? Just go back to the fundamentals, right? The source of funds is each individual that gives them money to send somewhere else, right? And their use of funds is just to transfer the money across. So they're not really a financial institution, are they?
Nope.
See? And if they're not a financial institution, are they regulated by the central
No, they're
bank?
not.
You see? Okay.
Call it head of the class, eh?
Okay. So, do you understand how this works now? Okay.
Yes.
If you apply that question, you start to see how institutions work, because the financial institutions are intermediaries between the people who are what? Deficit units and surplus units.
Surplus units.
Understand? Okay.
Yes.
And a company like Western Union is not, right? Even though we won't think of it, they are not a financial institution in the sense of the definitions that we have been using and looking at. Because they don't put money from SEFs, they just transfer it. Banks do that all the time. But banks do other things, right? Okay. Island Luck is transfer money from one person to the other, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Paradise Island Casino is transfer money from one person to the other. The person who loses give it to the person who wins, right?
Yes.
All right. So we're done for tonight. We're done
Mm.
for tonight. I will send you the stuff, right? Right? This is just the first lecture, right? We're going to be a little bit more rigorous. There's more stuff to cover in the textbook, okay? But I want all of y'all to come back on Tuesday and tell me who sets the prime rate in the Bahamas, okay? It would help if you ask yourself, let me give you a hint, what's the definition of the prime rate?
The government sets the prime rate.
Let's find out.
And he really ain't giving nothing away.
I didn't answer it, y'all.
I gave you a hint, but you ain't listening. What is the definition of the prime rate?
All right, we can find that out.
Sure, Google it, look it up. Okay? All right, ladies, thank you very much. I'll see you all next week, Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Have a good
Good night, everyone.
Good
Don't
night.
forget now.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.